the 90s. My parents said we live in a scary time, and my world consisted of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on TV, comic books, the Forest Horseman saga, dandy games, and gumliners. Everything looked simple and harmless. It seemed to me that life was only getting more interesting, especially when I accidentally met Dacha, who lived in the same building with me. I've seen this girl before, but I didn't think to talk to her either. She came up to me in the yard and said, "Hi, you'd happen to know what to do if the chain comes off the bike? I've already encountered this problem." So I answered, "Oh, nonsense. Most likely, the rear wheel needs to be adjusted there. You unscrew 2 nuts and pull on yourself. Ask your father, he'll tell you." The girl looked at her hands, stained with fuel oil, and answered, "Dad doesn't live with us, and Mom doesn't know how to do anything. Can you show me how?" I felt sorry for her. This girl seemed sad. I also finally noticed that she was nothing like that. She was fair, with freckles, and her eyes were a clear blue. At the age of 13, I was no longer ashamed of my friendship with girls, so I did not refuse her. I took her bike to the 3rd floor, and I went to my room to get the keys. The entire repair took no more than 10 minutes. "And that's it? It won't fly anymore? What is it?" the girl asked. "You shouldn't," I replied. "What's your name, though? What is it?" she asked. "Rudolph." I was a little embarrassed by my unusual name, so, as always, I added, "My parents call me Rudik, and my friends just call me Rude." Or, sounds interesting, "And I'm Dasha." She smiled. At the same time, her cheeks rounded out and large front teeth became visible. A new friend seemed to read my mind and said, "They tell me that I look like a rabbit when I smile." "I love rabbits," I replied without thinking, and felt the heat rush to my face. Idiot. It sounded ambiguous. I scolded myself as I returned home. Dacia and I saw each other the next day in the courtyard. We met and talked like friends. The girl thanked her once again for repairing the bike and said that now it was easier to pedal. I asked if she wanted to go for a walk, but Dasha replied, "In such a wind, don't you want to sit with me?" And I agreed. Dasha had a cozy room, bigger than mine. Besides, everything is in order and there is a TV with a VCR. In those years, this was considered the height of well-being for a child. This girl lived with one mother, and I have 2 parents, but they would never have bought me a personal TV. "What are we going to do?" Dacia asked. "We can read magazines, or, you know what? We can watch a tape. I have a favorite horror movie. Are you sure you haven't seen it?" He wasn't shown on TV. He's very scary. The girl opened the glass doors of the bedside table and took out a tape with the title, "Return of the Living Dead 3. It's about a zombie girl. She's scary and beautiful at the same time. There are also dead people eating brains. Disgusting, but interesting." I wasn't too interested in horror, so I asked, "Don't you have any board games?" Dasha thought about it and opened the closet. "There are some. We need to look here." I looked in with her and saw the treasure trove. There were all kinds of toys, stacks of boxes with board games, and among them, a real diamond. My dream, Sega Mega Drive 2. Is it just a box or a real console? I asked hopefully. The real one? A gift from my father. Is he just coming to give you something? Dasha replied with a touch of sadness. I haven't turned it on yet. I don't know how. I was filled with envy. It seemed that Dasha did not understand her happiness. I wish I had a father who just bought something so cool. Let me show you, I said. We opened the box and took out a brand new foam console. There were also cartridges in the cabinet. Aladdin, Jim the Worm, Sonic the Hedgehog, and some other dolphin game. My heart was fluttering with excitement. I asked my friend what we were going to play, and she offered me to choose for myself. She just wanted to see how it was done. I've seen Sega games played in the store, but I've never tried it myself. After my dandy, the graphics seemed amazing. I tried every game and settled on Jim the Worm. Most likely, Dacia did not fully understand my delight, but she obviously enjoyed watching how passionate I was. That's how I chased a worm in a superhero costume through the levels. He shot at the enemies, and Dacia and I laughed at his jokes. Time flew by, unnoticed. A door slammed in the hallway. Dacia said in a whisper, "You'd better leave. Mom is strict and doesn't like boys." I regretfully stopped the game and started packing. My new friend's mom didn't seem so hostile. She was surprised when she saw me, but she didn't express her annoyance. On the contrary, she looked friendly. She said, "Oh, you're our neighbor, right? I've seen this woman many times too." He greeted her, as he did with all adults. Dasha's mom was kind to me, but she talked to her daughter in a different tone. The reproaches began immediately. I wish I could pour tea for my guest, but I brought sand from the street again, and there's no one to sweep. I left, so as not to witness other people's quarrels. We met with Dacia the next day. I had a cheeky thought, and if she's not so interested in the console, maybe she'll lend it to me at home to play? The girl answered, "Let me have her. It's a gift from Dad. But you can come and play with me whenever you want. And when Mom won't be home." I probably took this offer too seriously, and now I came to Dacia every day except Saturday and Sunday. My friend and I watched movies, rode bicycles, and played badminton in the yard. I was genuinely interested in meeting her, but the same Sega games soon got boring. One day, we were sitting at her place. A friend just bought a magazine for teenage girls at a kiosk, and so I wouldn't get bored until I saw Jim the Worm 2 in the store. "What if your father bought 2 parts at once?" I asked hopefully. "Well, look for it. I do not know," the girl said, without taking her eyes off the pages of the magazine. I reached into the closet. He began to sort out the boxes, and suddenly a funny little phone rolled out onto the floor. A wheelchair toy in the form of a stationary disc device. A white case, a red tube on a wire, blue wheels, and a cheerful face. Now many people are surprised by the toys of the past, considering them creepy. His face was really unpleasant. Round blue eyes on a bulge that dangled, reacting to the movement of the wheels, and a strained, playful smile. The toy crashed into my leg with a clang, and Dacia jumped on the spot. She was peeking out from behind a magazine. There was fear in her eyes, and her hands were shaking. I thought she was startled by the harsh sound and immediately apologized. But my friend pointed at the phone and said, "Put it away quickly." I looked closely at the smiling face. It was just a toy. Sometimes children are scared by doll faces, but Dacia was not a child. I was surprised by her reaction, but I just sent the funny phone back to the closet and asked, "What's wrong with this toy?" Dacia, pale, fanned herself with a magazine like a fan and talked. "She's just not good. She gave me nightmares. I'm sorry. I won't do it again, I promised. Maybe we should go outside and play badminton." "Yeah, come on," my friend agreed. We took the roller and the rackets and went outside. I hoped that her tension would disappear quickly, But our game didn't work out. Dacia waved her racket without any desire. In addition, the wind blew in gusts, and the boulder was constantly being carried away. We sat down on a bench. Dacia talked about what she read in the magazine, as if she was trying to distract herself from something serious. "I'm sorry if I did something wrong. I shouldn't have gone through your stuff," I said, not really knowing what I was apologizing for. I just didn't want to have any problems with my friend. This phone. Dacia pressed her fingers to her temples and squeezed her eyes shut. I lied when I said about the nightmares. These were not dreams, but real glitches. Dad gave this toy to me when he came for the first time after his divorce from Mom. He visited me very rarely. I was little, and I missed him very much. I was playing with this phone like I was talking to my dad. At the end of each imaginary conversation, I told him how much I loved him and asked him to call more often. And one day, the phone rang. Her friend fell silent. I asked, remembering what I had imagined during the high fever. Dacia shook her head. No, I wasn't sick. I was just sitting alone at home, waiting for my mom from work, and she was late. It's already dark. The phone rang like a real one. I was scared, and then I thought, what if it's not a toy at all? And Dad is calling me, as I asked. She picked up the phone and whispered, "Dad, is that you?" And a strange voice answered me. A scary voice. He seemed to be holding back a grin as he spoke. Do you know what he said? "Why do you need a dad? Why do you need a mom when you have me?" Uncle Smile. Who? I didn't understand. That's his name. Dacia looked at me seriously. I didn't get into it anyway. Whom? He called me in the evenings, my friend continued. I was 7 years old, but I wasn't dumb enough to believe he was my friend. He always spoke in a mocking tone, with a grin. I talked to him because I was afraid and wanted to appease him. I wanted to throw this phone away, but I was also afraid. It was scary not to answer his calls. One day he asked if I wanted to see him. Do you think I'm crazy? That was a long time ago. I didn't want to offend my friend, but it seemed like she really wasn't herself. Ruth, I saw him once, Dacia said, pulling at the burrs on her fingers. He was standing under my window at night. Uncle Smile. He was wearing a light suit and white gloves, and his head was like a telephone receiver, with the same face as the toy. Bulging eyes and a smile. A scary smile. He just stood there and looked at my window. You know, I've never told anyone about this. After that night, I hid my phone in the closet. He called for a long time in the evenings. I went into another room so I wouldn't have to hear. Then it stopped. What do you think about it? I think it's time for you to outgrow your childhood fears and forget about it, I replied, thinking that these words were what she needed. And if this toy scares you so much, then why not just throw it away? You're right, Dacia said softly. I'll do that. The girl took the rackets, put the roller in her pocket, and got up from the bench. I walked her to the apartment and was about to say goodbye, but my friend fumbled in her pockets and said, I think I dropped my keys. Will you come with me? We went back outside and searched the whole yard. It seemed to me that it was pointless. I thought Dacia was lying because she was just afraid to go home because of some toy phone. But I didn't blame my friend. I said we could stay with me until her mom got back. Okay, let's go, Dacia quickly agreed. It seemed to me that I recognized my friend from a new angle and thought what a strange girl I had managed to contact. While we were sitting in my room, I looked at the clock, and when the time came, he said, Your mom must have already returned. Yeah, Dacia replied. Now she's going to make a scene for me. We said goodbye, saying, "See you tomorrow," but we didn't see each other in a day or two, and we didn't meet again. Something happened during the night that cannot be explained. I was awakened by a sharp ringing. It wasn't an alarm clock. A strange, metallic sound broke into my dream and made me open my eyes. I was lying in bed and looking at the curtains. The shadows of the trees danced on them. The wind was humming. The windows were shaking like the rhythm of an eerie melody. I felt uneasy. I got tired out of bed, deciding to check that everything was in order. He walked slowly over to the curtains, opened them, and looked down. I saw our empty yard overgrown with bushes. The heavy branches of the trees swayed, casting shadows on the ground. They were alive, and it seemed to me that there was a white spot among the bushes. It's like there's someone standing there. I pressed my forehead against a glass and saw nothing, but I couldn't get rid of the feeling that someone was really standing there. I stepped back from the window, feeling goosebumps all over my body. That fool Dacia scared me with her stories. It sounded like nonsense during the day, but the dark magic of the night would make anyone superstitious. I went back to bed, covered myself with a blanket, and fell asleep for a while, and then woke up before dawn. I was woken up by an ambulance. Her siren was silent, but she was noisily maneuvering in our yard, and the flashing red lights were flashing to look at. The body was being carried out of our entrance. Not the patient, but the body. The man on the stretcher was completely covered with a sheet. Someone died. What I saw disturbed my sleep for a long time. I tossed and turned in bed, wondering which of the neighbors had died. I reassured myself that it definitely wasn't Dacia. She's small, and there was an adult's body on the stretcher. That's what I thought. Finally, I fell asleep, and I slept until 11 a.m., and then I washed my face in a hurry and brushed my teeth. And he ran to knock on Dacia's apartment, but no one opened it for me. Her apartment was quiet. I was hoping that I would be able to catch her later. This did not happen. Dacia, like her mother, did not return home. The windows of their apartment remained dark in the evening. My friend has disappeared. So many coincidences at once. She told me a terrible story. Then, a white spot in the bushes. Ambulance. A body on a stretcher. Afraid of getting upset, I didn't ask anyone about anything. Until I saw a truck in the yard. Furniture and belongings were being taken out of Dacia's apartment. All this was led by a plump, elderly woman. I thought she might be my friend's grandmother and asked her a question. "Excuse me, but do you know where Dacia is?" "Dacia has moved," the woman replied. My heart started pounding. "So she's alive." To my dad. The woman spoke reluctantly, wanting to get rid of me as soon as possible. "Where's her mom?" I kept asking. The old lady looked unkindly into my eyes and muttered, "If you don't know, then you don't need to know. Get out of here." And I left, guessing the reason for my friend's move. There was an accident in her family, and we parted without saying goodbye. The last month of summer was spent in melancholy and regret. Why did it end like this? Later, another family moved into our house. 2 spouses knocked on our door to say hello. Mom opened the door. "Good afternoon." The unknown woman said cheerfully, "We are your new neighbors. Here's the thing. We were told that you have a child, and the previous tenants left some games there. Maybe give them to him?" "Rudik," your mother called. "Your friend left something for you there. Come down and take it as a souvenir." It occurred to me that Dacia might not have brought her console, which would have been a pleasant surprise. I followed my new neighbors. The apartment's hallway was filled with other furniture and boxes that they had unpacked. Everything was different in Dasha's room now. There was another closet and another bed. And there was a completely different girl sitting there, a couple of years older. She looked at me with a haughty look. I knew a girl who lived here. For some reason, I said, I must be interested in this. The girl grimaced. I walked over to the box in the center of the room. There was no shogi there. Just a couple of board games, a walking spring, and that damn funny little foam. I didn't want to take it away, so I took it out of the box and put it on the floor. But the girl was immediately indignant. Hey, don't choose. If you take it, then take it all. You can take what you don't need to the trash. I had to put it back. I took the box and said, thank you. Yeah, close the door or you were born in an elevator, the new neighbor replied. It was clear that we weren't going to be friends. I certainly wasn't going to keep that stupid foam with me. He was referring to bad memories, and I wanted to remember only the good things about Dacia. But I brought the box home. I pushed it under the bed, hoping that I would sort it out later. It's my birthday. On my 14th birthday, my parents gave me a new console, as I requested. But something wasn't playing at all. Dacia wasn't around, but she had promised to come to my birthday party. September was approaching. I spent the holidays without pleasure, thinking that the last days of summer would be spent in routine, but a real nightmare awaited me. It's all because of that damn funny phone. One night, it rang. I opened my eyes and lay for a while staring at the ceiling. I thought it was part of a dream, but the ringing continued. It was getting louder and louder on the phone. The phone's round eyes were bobbing in their sockets. My stomach turned cold. I swallowed hard. My parents were sleeping in another room. It was impossible to wake them up. To stop the ringing, I reached for the phone and picked up the receiver. It was light and empty. But where did that mocking voice come from? "Hello, Rick," the receiver whispered. I asked, realizing the absurdity of the situation. I got a call on a toy phone. Dacia was right. He spoke mockingly, chuckling and squealing. "Do you know who?" Uncle smiled. "I'm calling to tell you that I'm going to visit you." "Don't," I said. "Don't hurt me, Rudik." "What do you mean, don't?" The voice became lower and rougher. "What can I bring you as a gift?" I got scared and tried to feign a semblance of a normal conversation. "Bring the Shobi cartridge. Worm Jim 2. Don't come without it, okay?" An angry whisper came from the receiver. "A worm. A little worm." I hung up on the phone, and everything stopped. My hands were shaking. I wanted to immediately throw the terrible toy out the window, but I put it back in the box and waited until morning, and then brought a hammer from the pantry. Pieces from a single blow. I gathered them up and wrapped them in a newspaper. Then he took it to the trash. "Try calling again." Uncle smiled, but it wasn't that simple. On the same day, while walking, my keys disappeared from my pocket. I knew it wasn't an accident. Dacia wasn't lying. She really lost them, as if they were alive, and his lips, stretched in a smile, moved. He said it. I pressed myself into the mattress. I wanted to scream, but my vocal cords were numb. What a horror. He's here, right in my room. Ridiculous and terrible at the same time. I didn't know what to do. Call for help. His tongue barely moved. I was speechless with fear. "Sorry, I bought what you asked for, but I forgot to bring your worm game," he said with a wink. "You won't need it though. When you're lying in your coffin, the worms will keep you company. And 2 and 3 A whole 100. They'll play with you enough. Do you want to? No, 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 I bleated. Then decide who you love less. Tell me, who would you give up for your life, mom or dad? And suddenly my chilling fear turned into a firm certainty. I knew for sure that I would not sacrifice one of my parents to this evil, and I answered, "No way." "No what?" he asked. "I won't choose between my parents." Pride spoke for me. I wanted to spit in that pleased face. The smiling mouth twisted with malice. The pupils of the huge eyes narrowed. "Then you're going to die yourself." Uncle Smile hissed as he wrapped the phone wire around my neck. He was strangling me. The garrote was cutting the skin on his throat. I was writhing on the bed. I tried to grab the wire, but my fingers were slipping. My ears were buzzing. My vision blurred. I could feel the blood receding from my head. How my heart is beating so fast. All my efforts were in vain. Uncle Smile's evil mug got closer and closer, and then it blurred and became a shapeless blur. A heavy darkness covered me. Strange images flashed before my eyes. White spots, dark silhouettes. I thought I was going to die, but they brought me to my senses. My parents were in the room. My mother cried, and my father comforted her. I was lying in bed, and a medic was sitting next to me, holding a breathing tube to my face. It turned out that my parents heard the noise, came running, and saw me twitching in bed with my eyes rolled back and scratching my throat as if someone was strangling me. The ambulance arrived on time, and I was rescued. There are no traces of the wire left on my neck, only scratches that I inflicted on myself. The doctors couldn't explain exactly what happened to me and advised my parents to send me for an examination. In the afternoon, during lunch in the kitchen, Mom suddenly told Dad, "Maybe we have a leak somewhere?" "What kind of leak?" the Pope asked with his mouth full. "Do you not remember how Lenka died? She was suffocating too. She had scratches on her neck." My mom was talking about Dacia's mother. "Oh, be quiet," her father hissed at her. Not in front of Rudik. This is the first time I've heard such details. After these words, no one could convince me that everything I saw was just a hallucination from lack of oxygen. I was told that there was no one in my room that night. The parents had their own explanation for everything. Why was your key stuck in the door on the other side? So you left it there yourself. Uncle Smile in a white suit. Yes, it was the doctor who came to save you. No, guys, I know. He was real. I didn't choose between my parents. That's why they stayed alive. But it turns out that Dacia made her choice. Her mother died because her daughter sacrificed to her. I didn't blame her for it. On the contrary, I felt sorry for her. I thought that my ex-girlfriend must be having a very hard time living now. Now, she will always have to remember how she made her choice under the pressure of that evil scoundrel. I was also tormented by guilt, because it was because of me that the funny phone rolled out of the closet that day.